I want to do something right now which is a bit different. I actually want to hear from someone who has just recently accepted the gospel. And so I would love you to put your hands together for a good friend of mine. You might know him. His name is Dan Heather. So can we just please welcome Dan up? Is that all right? Hey, bro. Sometimes you hear about this stuff and you're like, okay, yeah, it sounds okay in theory, but what about in practice? So, Dan, welcome, bro. Good to see you, man. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, okay. So,
I think it's on.
Oh, it's on. Okay, so I'm a father of 3 children. I have my nephew who's living with me. And, it's been an interesting journey so far. But I tell you what, it's been something that I've learnt so much about in such a short space of time.
Yeah, so everything's kind of changed for you, man. Like about how long ago was it you rocked up to Lifepoint one night? I still remember the night someone introduced me to you. So, hey, this guy's first time here at church, maybe 6-7 months ago? Oh,
yeah.
A bit long, yeah.
It's around that time.
And Dan walked into church and, everything changed. You end up getting baptised only a few months later. Mate, just tell us about that. What happened?
Yeah, so my first experience walking into this place was, it was pretty much that. Just walked in and everyone's like, what are you here for? I'm like, oh, I'm here to surrender. You just spoke about that. So I'm here to do that. And there was a lot on my mind at that time. And there was a lot that I was actually going through. So I went through probably one of the hardest times in my life that I feel at that time it was. So in 2023, my mum was diagnosed with cancer. And she was 55 at the age. And from that point onwards, she ended up passing away at the age of 56. And that was probably one of the biggest turning points for me, is having to work through all of that stuff that was going on. And that really took me to a really low place. And then shortly after that, the separation of my partner of 14 years was definitely the part that actually really took me to the core of what I felt was the lowest parts of my life. And so from that point on, I didn't know where to go to. And I was thinking, man, what do? I kept asking every time I went for a walk. I was like, God, is there something that I need to do here? And the words that came to my mind were, let go. And in that point of time, so many things happened. A friend had mentioned it to me. It was a walk through the door moment. And from that point onwards, it was it just really brought me through and called me forward to being here with Lifepoint.
So good, man. And how has the grace of God, this ridiculous, scandalous grace, changed your life? And how has it changed in your life?
It's actually, it's brought me to a point where I feel like I have never been at so much peace in my life. Yeah. And it's changed a lot in how I see the rest of how everything works. It's a really interesting way of thinking about it, like, because I never thought I'd be at this place, and if it wasn't for Jesus and everything else that has been happening, all these things up to this point wouldn't have been happening.
Yeah. Mate, if there's anyone here today who is like a bit skeptical about Jesus, about the gospel, about his grace, about even just taking a step of faith, any advice you'd have, man, as someone who's kind of recently gone all in?
Just really, I think if there's anything that I could share, it would be just, really trust in what he is trying to say to you, trying to reach out to you and show you things. Like, a lot of the time I'd try and find things and it would be more of an avoidance thing than anything else. But I was always running away from the truth, and the truth has always been presented to me. So, having trust in Jesus and in God and what he can do for you is the absolute best thing you could do for yourself.
Isn't that good? Can we just thank Dan? Thanks, bro. Thank you so much for sharing, man.